What's up, everyone, and welcome to the first segment of Ready or Not, Football Edition. I'm here with Nate Rodriguez, coming to you guys live from Boca Raton. Well, recorded. Close enough, though. But guys, so we're going to be talking about our fantasy draft that just took place today. We're going to give you guys our quick MVP prediction for the season of 2022 and a little bit about the draft. So Nate, let me ask you, was there anything that stood out to you amongst the draft, whether it was the keepers, whether it was the picks? Was there anything that stood out to you?
I mean, one of the things that stood out, which we talked about, was literally my brother's team drafting 3 tight ends. I was wondering about that. I texted him myself in the middle of the draft. I was like, what are you doing?
Do you think that he would have picked another tight end had there not been a limit of 3?
Potentially. Who knows? There were still tight ends available at the end of the draft.
There was. So that was one thing that definitely stood out to me, was the fact that his keeper was Dallas Goedert in the 12th.
In the 12th, yeah.
And I wanted to keep somebody late. I'm just not sure if that's who I would have taken on that team.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so as far as, obviously Jonathan Taylor, a keeper in the 10th.
Oh, honestly, that's, as far as keepers are concerned, number 1.
Steiger, congrats for picking that number, my man.
Absolutely.
Talk about luck of the draw. Now, outside of the obvious one, Jonathan Taylor, the second one that I was looking at was Josh Allen. You know, not Josh's pick, but actually Christina's pick in the 8th.
8th, yep.
Josh Allen is literally a quarterback that's going in the first or second round everywhere, and she was able to get him in the 8th. That's huge.
Oh, absolutely.
That could be a game changer for her team. Was there anybody else, obviously outside of Goddard, that stood out to you as far as draft or as far as keepers?
For keepers, let's see, where are my keepers here? I would say, not talking about myself, but I would say having Williams in the 10th.
That's actually what I was looking at. Funny
was pretty good.
Not to toot his own horn or anything.
Well, I didn't pick the teams last year, so I'm lucky enough to get a team that I had someone that was late picked that I can take, which is the same for Steiger.
Right.
Lucky into a team that had JTT 10th round.
In the 10th round. That's the whole thing about those rookies and where did you draft them?
Mm-hmm.
What do they end up being worth next year? Now, as far as best overall draft, obviously you're going to say yourself first, but outside of yourself, who would you say had the best draft as far as putting a whole team together?
I'm not even going to say myself in this. We keep talking about him, but I honestly think Steiger had the best draft. He has a solid team that he put in from beginning to end, and I think he's going to do work.
Okay. I was a fan of Steiger's team, but I was kind of torn between 2 teams, to be honest with you. The first one was honestly Christina's team. Like I said, she sniped a bunch of my picks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching for the thing to come back around. I'm like, oh, I'm good, and then she picked them. But the other one, honestly, what I was looking at was Tebow's team, Mike Tibbs 21, for those that didn't know. You know, Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler as your first 2 running backs. You know, unfortunately Eckler, which I understand why he took him, because he probably would have gotten the first, but as your keeper only in the 2nd round, that's a little challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It's pulling it up there high. But then A.J. Brown, Patrick Mahomes, and Russell Wilson. Juju Smith-Schuster paired up with Patrick Mahomes. J.K. Dobbins when he comes off the injured reserve, and then like you said, Deshaun Watson. Obviously, it's a long shot, but if he comes back and he's on fire the second half of the season, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, you could have something to prove. He's like, oh, you didn't let me play the first half. I'm going to show you what the second half is like.
Yeah, the bench I don't love for him as much, but as far as the starters, as long as he doesn't have them all in the same bye, which I'm looking here. Oh, actually, he does have quite a few people on the same bye.
He has a lot of 8 and 9s, 7, 8, and 9. No,
Yeah.
7, just 1.
No, 8s and 9s.
A lot of 8 and 9s.
With those 2, that to me, that could be dangerous for him. But outside of that, that's a very powerful squad coming off.
I wonder if I'm playing in week 8 or 9.
Hopefully I. But biggest upside, I did honestly, funny enough, mark down Steiger as the biggest upside to me, because you look at a Christian McCaffrey, if he stays healthy,
Mm-hmm.
he's
Oh,
huge.
absolutely.
Mark Andrews, as long as Lamar Jackson can get him the ball, he could go off.
But if he doesn't,
Deebo
I have Lamar
Samuel.
Jackson, but go ahead.
Right. Deebo Samuel, if he doesn't get hurt, which we all know how Deebo is. Tom Brady, as long as the offensive line can protect with the 2 people going out.
Yep.
And then you just look at the wide receivers. You got Trey Lance as the 2nd quarterback. Like you said, Jonathan Taylor. Amari Cooper's an upside guy. DeAndre Hopkins is an upside guy. Jameis Winston, we all saw him on Tampa Bay when they let him fly. Will they let him fly this year? Because if he does, that could be another big draft pick really late.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I definitely saw him as the biggest upside. Now, is there anybody that you want to put your stamp of approval, the Nate stamp, as guys, ready or not, this person could be the number one overall, like the game changer for fantasy for 2022.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm ready to put that stamp on anyone. We've been seeing a little bit in preseason, people doing work, but obviously no one's doing their best yet because they're waiting for the season. If I'm forced to pick someone I like, I'm not sure if they're going to be top, but what somebody mentioned, Deebo Samuel. As long as he stays healthy and he's working with Trey Lance, who he has, Steiger has that stack,
Yeah.
I think he can do very well because I had him last year, I believe, and he did amazing work for me.
Yeah. As long as he stays healthy, I agree with you 100%. That's somebody that I was looking at, and I would very rarely would I go this direction for an MVP. I'm always
Right.
going running backs, maybe wide receiver, and I did look at Stephon Diggs. Yes, he's on my team. I did look at Stephon Diggs or Michael Pittman, which both are on my team.
Mhm.
That I thought they're two wide receivers, and if everything falls right, they can go off this year.
Right.
But I'm doing something I never pick, and I'm picking a quarterback as who I think is going to be the MVP for fantasy this year. And you heard me because Nate was in the room with me when we were drafting. I was pissed when this person went off the board, and it was Russell Wilson.
Oh, he was livid.
So Russell Wilson is my pick for the MVP for 2022. I think he's got something to prove. He's got amazing weapons, a great offensive line, and Nate's 8th round pick running back, Javonte Williams,
Yep.
as far as on his team for running back, like he's got a stacked team, and he wants to prove something. And they said they're going to let Russ cook. So Tebow, great job, jerk. Because I was definitely I was like, I'm going to go a little bit earlier on quarterback than I normally do. I had Russ in my queue, and then you picked him. You allowed me to get Chase Edmonds, but you picked him. But guys, ready or not, fantasy football is here.
Mhm.
Football season is around the corner. It starts on Thursday,
Yep.
which is going to be awesome. And
It's Buccaneers Cowboys, right?
Buccaneers Cowboys. And Nate and I are going to be going through this every week. We're going to give a little bit of a rundown on what the fantasy scenario looks like for our league, and then maybe a little bit of things that are going on outside of the league. But guys, have a great one. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.